Hi, Nicholas here. Today we are going to look at some left-hand patterns. So what we want to do with the left hand is we want to build some rigidity on the left hand, and we'll be using the pinky as well, and the pinky and ring to get some movement going there. We're going to have a bit of fun with this because we're going to look at the Pink Panther theme, right? And but we're going to warm up to it first, and it's a little bit trickier. Now, we're also going to talk, so we're going to kill a few birds with one stone, because I don't really like to kill birds, but, you know, it's just a saying. We're going to look at we're going to talk a bit about modes, and we're going to look at, I'm going to introduce you to a concept of a modal scale, a keyed modal scale and a pure modal scale. But you don't have to understand this fully right now to do the exercise. To do these exercises, all you really need is lesson 1 and 2, right? And the note we start on. So lesson 1, if you know all your notes and you know a bit about intervals, you might be able to pick it up from this lesson where you place your fingers, right? So you don't really have to understand the modes, but I am going to start talking about modes and explaining them. Okay, so it might drag on. I'm not sure how long. So let's get going. We better get started then. All right, so left-hand pattern. Again, just go to my website and click practical exercises, and you'll see it. You'll see it down on the bottom. A link to this page. Okay, so as I said, the purpose is to build our finger rigidity recognition. Also, we're going to. I'm going to introduce you into a concept called keyed modal scale. And a pure modal scale. Now, when we learn these, we're not just going to rely on muscle memory, right? We're going to actually rely on a few memory associations, and then we're going to bring them together, okay? And then we're going to build it up. So we're going to rely on rhythm, tonal, the actual tone, visual, the interval numbers themselves, a visual, and muscle memory we're going to leave to the very last at the end. So we're going to go slowly. All right, let's just get straight into it. So we're all familiar. We're going to start very easy, really easy. So we can warm up to that Pink Panther theme. So we have C. So we all know the C major scale. I hope we do. If you're new here, I advise you probably to go watch lesson 1 and 2, but you can stay if you like. But C is pretty easy, right? So that's the Western major scale. Easy so far. Don't worry, it gets much harder. But we're not doing our right hand, we're doing our left hand, and we can play it down to here. Right? Now, we're not going to go up to swing over to with a third finger. We're going to stick on the 5 fingers, so that's a good easy start. Right, so we've got the left hand. Now, we want you going to get you to understand what a mode is very quickly. I haven't even done modes, but I'll demonstrate it up here. So a mode is a feeling, right? It's a scale, right? It brings out a feeling. So if we play, say, the C Western major scale, that has a feeling. If I stick to the same key and play from D to D, that's another feeling. Have a listen. Yeah, it's different. And from E to E is another feeling. And it just happens with the C major scale, with the Western major scale, all the modes have different feelings. And the Aeolian, and they all have names. And that's the Locrian, and back to Ionian. Today we're just going to look at two. We're going to look at Ionian. So that's the Western major scale. So I have videos on showing you how to do this. So lesson 4 I believe, with the C. And we're going to look at the Phrygian. So that's the 1, 2, 3, right? So playing from E to E, if we're in the key of C, but we're not going to be in the key of C when we do the Pink Panther theme, but that's fine. Starting from E to E, that's how the Phrygian sounds, right? That's the sound of it. And that's not the complete foundation, that's the start of the Pink Panther theme. They use Phrygian, they alter it. It's an altered Frisian. And we're going to get there, and I'll show you what it all means to alter something. So have a quick look here. So I'll just slide up to the exercise. So they're all the intervals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right, up here. So let's slide up to the exercise itself. So, and I'll highlight this with my mouse, right, so you can see a modal scale. So this is a modal scale. Ionian is a modal scale, right? It's a mode, it's a scale, and it happens to sound like this. And it's also the Western major scale. What the keyboard's designed around is designed around the Western major scale, because if you play from C to C, that's the Western major scale. Okay. So I'm going pretty basic so far, right? Pretty basic. Now, Ionian itself, just Ionian without this C in front of it, we call that a pure modal scale. Well, not we call it, I call it because I invented these terms. So that's a pure modal scale, okay? And it's pure because you can transpose it to any key. So all 12 keys have the Ionian, don't they? Because we've learned how to play all 12 keys, right? Well, if you watched all those videos I made, you would know, right? So we're on the right hand for now, just to explain it. Okay. Now, you don't need to understand this to play to do these exercises. All you need is the note you're starting on. That's lesson 1. And understand how to find these intervals. That's lesson 2. Okay. We don't need to know modes, but I am going to go explaining this as a to when we get to modes. All right. So together with the C in front of the pure modal scale, we call that a key modal scale because, well, I call it a key modal scale. It's because there's a key associated with that. C Ionian is in the key of C because C, right, is Ionian. If I said, I don't want to get too complex, but if I said Dorian, D minor Dorian, right, I know I'm in the key of C because I know D minor is the Dorian of the key of C. If you didn't follow that, don't worry. So anyway, let's have a look at this first exercise, all right? Let's just get into the exercises. So it's the left hand. I'll play it here. You can play it down there. You can play it down there if you really like. So let's have a look how this works. So pinky on 1. So thumb, index, middle ring, pinky, left hand. Right hand's the same. Right, but we're just doing left hand. It says pinky on 1, so we locate our pinky. 1 is not the finger number, it's the interval. It's the interval 1 on the Ionian, which is right here, okay, right there. Then it says, this little up arrow says we keep on going up until we hit a reverse direction, which is this arrow. So that's this one. So it's saying P1, ring 2, middle 3. P1, ring 2, middle 3. Okay, so we're just rising, right? Up to here, we're rising. Okay? Then we hit an arrow saying reverse direction and then go back to the ring. Right? So we're going down now. Then we're immediately going back up again to the middle on 3 and the index on 4. So we're doing this. Right? And we're gonna excuse me. We're gonna put a whole lot of memory associations to this as well. First, the intervals. We know the interval numbers. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, and then as it keeps on going, it comes back down to 3, where we're here. Comes down to middle on 3, then turns around and goes back up again. 4, 5. So it goes 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. And we want to go slowly because we don't want to commit this to muscle memory, not yet. We will, but we need to understand everything we're doing. We need to understand the intervals. We also need to understand the flow of our hands. What's our hand doing? I didn't even mention this in the document, but our hand's flowing up, coming down, going up, going down. So let's see. Up, down, and then back up again. And when we're coming back down, let's have a look coming back down. We start with, so the number 1 is going rising and number 2 is coming down because we're going to read, we're coming down now. We're still going to read from left to right, even though we're coming down. We could read up here from right to left, T4, which is the reverse, right? If I look at 1 and I read from the right to the left, you can do that too, as long as it's symmetrical, as long as what you're doing going up is the same coming down. But you can also just write it in a new line going up. So let's have a look. So let's put our thumb on 5. Where's the 5th? Is here, right? And now we're going down. That's the giveaway too. We're going up here and we're coming down. So we're coming down to I, index 4, and middle 3. It's not too tricky, is it? It's as long as you know your intervals, right? And the note to start on, it's not hard. So we go 5, 4, 3. We're down here now. Then we're reversing up to the 4, reversing up to the I4, 4. Then we're turning around again and coming back to 3, 2. Then reversing back up to the 3, 3, 2, 1. Now, to remember it like that, with no rhythm, right, it's harder to remember. But let's see what we're doing coming down first. So we're playing a scale, right? And when you go, normal teachers will tell you when you play a scale, you just play it very smoothly. And yeah, you do want to be smooth. But if you put rhythm to it, it creates another memory association that your brain will remember. So it's always good after you learn the scale to shove some rhythm into the scale. So, and you can make up whatever rhythm you want. That's up to you to do, right? So first get it, so I can pause it there. Now, I don't encourage to use metronomes. I don't encourage to focus on the rhythm, right? Because that always, the order is, get the notes right, get the notes right, get the intervals right, make sure you know what the intervals are, so this is the order. Visually look down to, right? Visually look at your hands. So that's 3 memory associations so far. Visually look at your hands. Then we start to put the rhythm in, and then it becomes muscle memory, okay? Because the muscle memory will change with each rhythm you do. And you don't want to commit to just one muscle memory, one rhythm. You want to be flexible, right? We're learning to improvise, so we need to not commit to muscle memory all the time, right? We need to understand what we're doing. Akousunesis, listening with understanding, right? All right, so that's quite easy, right? So we're building up now. So C Ionian, okay, is very simple. It's just the Western major scale starting on C. And that can be any of the 12 notes, right? Any of the 12. We've got B flat Ionian, which would be the B flat scale, right? And we've learnt all our scales, right? We know them by now. All right, let's have a look. We're moving on. This is almost the same, right? So in actual fact, just to make it a bit easier to do this, the first exercise, 1 and 2, is the same as 3 and 4. However, we're playing over a different scale now. We're playing over C Ionian flat 3. So what this means is, because we know the Ionian, right? If you know the Ionian, then you automatically know all your modes, right? And this is why, because if you focus on your Ionian visually of what you know, I know it's all the white notes, right? So if I start on any note I want, right, say the Mixolydian, is this the 5th, right? It starts on the 5. If I know I'm just playing white notes, but I start on G and end on G, then I can just play the Mixolydian very easily. If I'm in the key of A, right, there's a 5th, right? Remember how to find 5ths very easily? 5ths. And if I want to play the Mixolydian, I just focus on the notes, right, of the key of A, and I know which notes they are. This is why you've got I've got a visualization of all your keys and why it's important. But we start on E, and I know I end on E, and I know I'm playing all the notes to the right. I'm not playing the ones on the left, and I know. But always a bit slower than that. So that's the Mixolydian, right? So I know. If you know your mode, if you know your Ionian, you know all your modes. So the concept here is, if you know your modes, and you can practice playing all your modes, then by altering a mode, usually we call that an operation. I call that an operation. Call that an operation. And the more operations, the harder there is to remember. So we want to reduce the amount of operations. We don't want 1,000 operations. You'll never end up with 1,000. The maximum you have is 5, because with one mode you can cover all notes, and there's only 5 other notes to add in, which are operations. And the operations are, you can flatten a note, you can sharpen a note, you can add a note, and you can remove a note, right? Just like add, delete, and edit, that type of thing. So you can do all that. And the symbol to add is just A. So, and we're going to get there. Well, you'll see that in the next exercise. To remove, it's an R. To flatten, it's a flat sign. And to a sharp is a sharp sign. All right, so let's have a look. So we're just flattening the third. So let's play the Ionian. That's the Ionian. 1, 2, 3. And a flat 3 is just we're playing a C minor there, C minor chord. So now we're playing the exact same exercise. So the rhythm is the same. We can change. We can even have the same rhythm. We're just playing it over a different scale. We're playing it over an altered, a modal scale, which is an altered Ionian with a B flat. Okay, straightforward? I hope so. So now my book talks all about modes, and it's got all this, what a keyed modal scale, it has everything in there. And these lessons are going to help too, because in my book, when I have a lesson, I'll be putting a lot of this material, particularly exercises. I'll be filling my book out with more exercises, and then I'll be linking. I've already started to do that linking. And when you buy the initial copy, you can start reading it now. All the revisions I just automatically send for you for nothing. So once you buy the first purchase, that's it. You get the lifetime of free upgrades. Okay, now we're ready for the next exercise. I'm going to introduce a concept called modal equivalence, and I'll try to explain it. But again, we don't need to understand modes to do these exercises. And these exercises are the same as the previous ones until we get to the Pink Panther exercises, right? But I'm going to describe what this concept is. So we'll do it by these examples here. Right, so let's have a look at a Lydian. So a Lydian is the fourth one in the key of C, for instance, because we're in the key of C up here, right? A Lydian, he starts on the fourth, right? So we're going to play from F to F. And we know it's all the white notes. That's the Lydian scale, right? So by itself, I call that a pure modal scale. It's like a natural scale, right? It's a natural Lydian. I call it pure because I'm identifying it with this system that I'm doing here. So I call that a pure modal scale. And together, if you put the associated chord in front of it, so the associated default chord is F, right, in front of the Lydian, right? Together, that describes the key, because I know that the F Lydian is in the key of C. The C is there. So you can describe the Lydian 12 different ways, right? 12 different keys, right? So together they describe the key. And the operations after that is what we do to the Lydian to alter it. So we know all our modes, right? Because you're going to practice your scales and then you know your modes. So now we're just going to flatten the -5. Have a look at the -5. Let's have another look at the scale. Now you can see the fifth. See the fifth here, right? We only go up to the 5 in this exercise with the left hand, but we'll do it with the right over here. Can you see there's a -5 in the scale? Right? There's a fifth, flatten the fifth, -5, 5 -5, right? So what we're going to do is flatten it to a fourth, right? So now we have this. Now because we're flattening it, we don't play the note on the right, we've flattened it. So we go. And if I play all the way, the whole scale, right? Because I'm playing the whole scale all the way. That happens to be this F major scale. happens to be F Ionian. Excuse me. Right? So, F Lydian flat minus 5 has a modal equivalence of F Ionian. Right? Now, if you don't follow that, right, if you don't follow that, that's fine. But the exercises now, right, so if we're left-hand exercise, right, we're going to put our pinky on F, and it's the same exercise. And we only go up to the 5th, right? We only have to put operations where the exercise, relative to the exercise, we don't have to put any other operations. We only go up to the 5th, right? If we were to do something, if we were to alter things up further, we'd put another operation, but we're only going up to the 5th, right? So have a look here. Again, this is just coming down, right? Coming down, and we did that, right? So we T5, put it on the 5th. Then it goes to the 4th there, so... Okay, and again, look down and count. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. Right? See how we're breaking up? We're not, when you play scales, you're playing them serially, right? And then it's better to break things up rather than doing things serially. Right? And I've mentioned that many times before, I think, in my videos. So now we also want to we're listening for the intervals, right? We're looking at the flow of the hands as well. It's flowing up, flowing down, flowing up, flowing down, right? And now we're going to put some rhythm to it. Right? And that's that exercise. Now let's get to the Pink Panther exercise. We've all been waiting for the Pink Panther exercise. With this exercise, we've got a different mode now. We've got a Phrygian mode, and I've broken the exercises. The actual melody is inspired by Phrygian, and this is the scale. The Phrygian flat 5, add minus 5, remove minus 7, add 7. Now, but we've broken that down into 4 easier modal scales, keyed modal scales. Right? So it's broken down, and then we'll go through the exercises. And again, you don't need to know much about modes to be able to play these exercises, all right? But I will speak about modes, so those who are interested can learn. All right, let's have a quick look. So a Phrygian, okay, that's the natural scale for the Phrygian. So a Phrygian is the third. If we're in the key of C, a Phrygian would start here, right? And when we're trying to work out the Phrygians, it's good to stay in the key of C because it's easier until you know all your keys, because you can see things very clearly in the key of C. You can see where your semitones fall. You can really visualize the key. So we're playing from E to E, right? This is how it sounds. Yeah? It sounds... Now that inspired this, but we changed this. We're going to change this to create the, and we're going to do it with our left hand too, but we're not in the key of C, okay? We're not going to do it in the key of C. We're actually going to do it in the key of B, right? Now the key of B is an easy key. It's not a hard key because it uses all the black notes, right? And there's only 2 white notes, right? It's got the B, of course, and the E. So if you can remember B and E notes, you know the key of B. Now the Phrygian in the key of B is the third. Starts on the third, which starts on D sharp. So, right, and it's a minor too, right? Remember the third chord is a minor, right? Because all the black notes, bang. So, right, if you're not following this, that's fine. You will once you buy my book and read it. But for now, Phrygian D sharp minor, okay, and operations. Now we're going to simplify this. So all you need to know here is we're going to play that scale. So just this scale here, all right? So we're going to visualize we're going to learn our key of B, right? Right, and we'll do it with the left hand too. Now, luckily with this, we only go to here, right? That's the furthest we go to, right? We're actually starting. We're starting here as our root, right? We're starting on E flat on the Frisian, and we only go here, okay? Which is a +5. That's the biggest interval we're going to go to. And let me lift this up a bit. So these are the notes, basically. So you can see the notes now, right? You can see what we're going to do, right? So let's get straight into it, and we'll look at each one and break that down. We'll break that whole formula down, right? And so there's the notes. So I'm going to bring this up so we can see it. So let's go through each one of these, right? And I'll play it up. I'll play it up here just so you can see it better on the screen. But it sounds better down here, right? So what we do first, let's have a look. So we've got number 9, okay? We got Frisian, right? So we know the Frisian in B, right? But let's just have a look at D sharp. Not even D sharp minor. We don't even care about that's a minor. We just want to look, say D sharp, pinky on 1. All right, there's our root note of this exercise. That's the root note of the exercise, P1, right? What's the next note? We're rising to P minus 2. Oh, okay, that's good. And that's going to end up being a slide. Then what do we got? We're still rising, right? Then we go to M3 is the minor third. There's the minor third. No, these are minor thirds, right? You should know that by now. If you watch that minor third video, you know they're minor thirds, right? So we've got, oh, that's sort of sounding as a Pink Panther-ish, isn't it? Okay, so that's our first one. So that's a Frisian, and all we've done, you see the flat 4, that's how we get to this note here, which is the third, right? That's not in the key of B flat, is it? Right? The key of B flat has all the black notes. It does not have, right, G, does not have the G. So that's a third, right? And we get to that third with this operation, flat 4. So it means there's the 4th, right? If there's the 5th, remember the 5th rule? There's the 5th. The 4th is just a tone down. If you've done your intervals, lesson 2, there's a 4th. It's lesson 2, right? So if that's your 4th and we flatten it, that's how we get to our major third, right? That's the operation. So the first one's easy. And all right, now let's look at the second one. So we do the first one. We're always going from left to right, okay? We're going 9, 10, 11, 12, left to right. So we're going, now the next one is P1, P2. It's the same as the first, right? And then we've just got the last two T. We've got the last two T plus 5. So let's have a look. P1. And then, so the first thing we had was right? So that is plus 5. There's a 5, there's a plus 5. And it's with the thumb and the index. So look at our fingers now. We're going to strengthen our pinky, right? And so that's why we're using our pinky. And we're not doing our pinky and ring, we're doing a slide. Now this is a quick note. The black notes here are quick slides. Then the middle. Right, so that's where I finished that line. Now for the next line. And then the next line is just the out. We just do the outer ones we just did, right, without the middle ones. So it's the same as the top, and that's the same as that. So it's basically this and this first without the middle, okay? And now it's always good if you're doing groups of exercises like this, and to see what's similar, similarities. Never use this as a crutch. You're not looking to play this, right? this is just to work out what you're doing. And once you learn it, you're looking down and putting all those visual associations, 1 minus 2. And it's going to the minor third to the major third. Right? All right, so the last line just here just does this. So we're reading from left to right. Now we've got, if you notice down here, these are white notes, right? Now remember we got to the third, right, by flattening the fourth. Now we got to this white note by adding a minus fifth, right? And there's also, we've got another note here, which is the major seventh, right, which I'll just go up, which is that note up here, major seventh, okay? And we put that in there by adding that as well, right? Because the key of B doesn't have that note, does it? It doesn't have D, right? It's got, so it doesn't have, has E, hasn't got D, hasn't got that, it hasn't got G and hasn't got A, right? So we need to add those notes, right? So we should have 3 operations there to get those notes in. So one operation was to flatten it, that gave us the fourth, that gave us that, and the other 2 were just to add. We just added them in, okay? We could have sharpened the sixth. If we didn't play the 6 in the key, we could have sharpened that too. So there's other ways to add that in. Like I flattened the 4 to get to the third. I could have added 4 and removed the fourth and then add, but that would have been 2 operations. So the idea is to keep the least amount of operations. Anyway, so let's just have a look at the exercise. So again, we only need the D sharp, right? That's our root, right? Okay. So where's the fifth? It's on a minus 5, right? So there's the fifth, bang, fifth rule. So, but we're over here now. We're over here. So thumb on minus 5, there's a minus 5. Then index on the 3, there's the 3 with the index, right? Because that's a minor third, that's a third. Just sharpen the minor third to get the third. And then we're on the minor 2 with the ring, right, here. And then that's the major 7th with the pinky, and then back to the ring, right? And the root's up here, we're not hitting the root on this. Right? We're not even landing on the root. We're not landing on the root of where we started from. But it's still got a nice resolving sound. It's quite an interesting melody, you know. So it's really it's pretty cool. And that's the Pink Panther. All right, so I think I'll end it there. And you can read this. I'll keep a link to this exercise. Just click in the description and it'll go straight to the exercise. Read through all this. Just read through it again. If you didn't follow the the modes, we're going to look at modes and we're going to look at them again. And we're going to do a lot more of these exercises. And it will eventually click in. It takes a while. You know, but I highly recommend you get the book. I'm doing a revision I'm going to be posting up on next month, on the first Monday of each month. If I have a revision, I've got one coming. So I'm fixing up the index of my book, and when you get the PDF, you'll be able to click any topic now and just easily go back and click, and then click that to come back to the index. So it navigates the book much easier now, and that's on its way. All right, anyway, thanks, and I'll see you. That's the end of this lesson. Okay, bye.